listening to PPSIMMONS Radio, and today my guest is Lieutenant Mike Zullo of the Sheriff Arpaio Obama fraud criminal investigation. Mike Zullo is the lead investigator of the Cold Case Posse, and I emphasized lieutenant and kind of laughed when I said that because, Mike, there seems to be some questions out there on the internet about your designation as lieutenant or what your official designation is. And by the way, let's just go ahead and tell the listeners this program is in response to a blog article that we posted a couple days ago indicating that you would, from time to time, come on PPSIMMONS Radio and answer legitimate questions about this case. And I was looking at the blog a few moments ago. I think there were 80 to 90 questions logged already. We're going to get to 8 or 9 or 10 of them today. And some of them are duplicates. And so by answering the 8 or 9 that we're going to answer today, we'll be answering probably scores of them that were posted there. But I laughed when I said lieutenant because some have questioned your designation as lieutenant. So one of the questions was, Mr. Zullo, why do you not correct people who refer to you as Lieutenant Zullo? So, Mike, I'm going to ask you to answer that question, and at the same time, go ahead and tell us your law enforcement background and what kind of law enforcement powers do you have? What kind of direct authority do you have as an investigator on the Cold Case Posse under Sheriff Arpaio? So you're going to answer two questions. Why do people call you Lieutenant, and what kind of law enforcement background do you have, and what authority do you have under Arpaio? Really, that's 3 questions. So go ahead.
Well, Carl, I don't think I could really answer the fact as to why people call me lieutenant. My official rank designation is that of commander.
Right.
And I don't really give too much credence to titles, but commander, I think, on military institutions and in numerous police departments, a commander also does carry the rank of lieutenant. So I think somewhere synonymously with that has come up. You can call me lieutenant, commander, hey you. Yeah. It doesn't matter to me.
Yeah, and I can tell you why I started calling you lieutenant a long time ago is because back during, I think it was the very first press conference, somebody referred to you as that either in the press conference or afterwards in print. And of course, I didn't know you then, and that was the title that somebody gave you, so I've just been calling you that ever since. But of course, throughout that time, I came to realize that your actual title was Commander Mike Zullo.
Well, Carl, you can imagine with the scrutiny I'm under, wouldn't that have been the height of arrogance to say, excuse me, you can address me as commander?
Yeah.
I mean, that would have just been so out of place. So, I mean, I really don't care. Who cares?
Right, I got you. All right, talk to us very quickly. Give us your pedigree. Tell us about your past law enforcement background and what direct authority do you have in this investigation under Sheriff Arpaio? What direct law enforcement powers?
I am a former New Jersey police officer, detective. I'm a New Jersey police certified investigator. I've been trained in homicide investigation, fingerprint identification, narcotics investigations, domestic violence investigation. I was a licensed private investigator in the state of New Jersey. I am a Maricopa County Sheriff's Office trained investigator in investigative and interview techniques, surveillance and counter-surveillance, high-risk criminal detention and felony apprehensions. I have received AZ Post training in homicide investigation here in Arizona. I have received training in cold case homicide investigation under the Maricopa County Sheriff's Office. I am currently the commander of the Maricopa County Sheriff's Cold Case Posse, and I am Sheriff Arpaio's chief investigator in the Obama eligibility investigation.
Right.
I mean, I can go through a litany of other things, but they serve no purpose.
Yeah, no, I think that does it. And so you do have legitimate law enforcement powers granted to you under the constitutional office of Sheriff of Maricopa County, correct?
Correct. And that is done by Arizona Constitution, Article 7, creates the office of the elected sheriff, who is the top law enforcement official in the county of Maricopa, and he has no other superior. He is the chief law enforcement official. Under that, the ARS statutes 11441, powers and duties, outlines the power of the sheriff. And within those powers of law enforcement and arrest powers, there also is a section that gives the sheriff the authority that he may call on an organized group, a volunteer posse, in the execution of his duties prescribed in that section at his request to aid him in any matter that he deems fit. And it is through that activation that once that activation occurs, the law enforcement authority of the sheriff is now conferred to either that individual or that group. And that law enforcement authority can be as narrow or as broad as deemed necessary by the sheriff. And that would also include the powers of arrest. As it pertains to this, Sheriff Arpaio has given me full law enforcement authority of his office to investigate the matter. I'm sorry that that's an inconvenient truth for the other side, but it is just that, the truth.
Absolutely. Okay. So you are duly authorized and under the Arizona Constitution with the full law enforcement powers granted to you by the sheriff, and you, Mike Zullo, happen to be the commander or the lead investigator of that unit that the sheriff has authorized, the Cold Case Posse.
And if I could add another thing, Carl, under this designation, I now have to not only operate within the statutes and the legal provisions of the state of Arizona, I also have to operate within the confines of the policies and procedures of the Maricopa County Sheriff's Office.
Correct. Go ahead. I'm sorry.
No, I mean, this is something that if people think that he just says go out and do it, you just run wild. That doesn't happen.
Right. Okay. All right. Well, fantastic. Thanks for clearing that up. Okay. Let's just get down to some of these questions. We'll take all the time you need, but we've got 8 or 9 or 10 of them, so let's go. One of them here says, have you examined the high-resolution long-form handout that the White House distributed to the Associated Press on April of 2011, which you can find online as a JPG file, a JPEG file, by doing a Google image search? And then it says, if so, is there something evidential about it that would be helpful to the case, and is that why you haven't mentioned it at all?
Actually, that last line actually sums it up. There is evidential value to that. We are well aware of it, and we are not going to talk about it.
Okay, well, that's got it. All right, next question. There is a YouTube video entitled, Obama Changed His Name in Canada. Has this been looked into by the Cold Case Posse? And if so, how does it fit into the puzzle of evidence compiled so far?
Right now, it really doesn't fit into the evidence compiled so far. Very few leads have pointed to Canada, and the ones that were out there, we did pursue to the extent we could. You know, at this juncture, we don't see any real basis for it. That's not to say something didn't happen, but right now it's pretty much a dead-end avenue for us. Okay,
all right. And here's one that was asked several times in various ways. Let me see. Have you seen the evidence that the DNC, the Democrat National Convention, removed the paragraph referring to Obama's constitutional eligibility before they signed and submitted his papers to all 50 states? And then they give a reference to that on the internet. And of course, you and I know what they're talking about is the certification from the DNC to all 50 states that Obama was eligible to serve as president and eligible to be on the ballot. I don't know why I can't say eligible to be on the ballot. But apparently, it's been reported that that section that says constitutionally eligible was removed from all 50 states, the submission. Is that true, or do you know anything about it?
We do know about it. That is true. Our research also showed that under Clinton Gore for the state of Arizona, that sentence was removed as well. You know, and that's problematic. I mean, that does trouble me because there were, I believe, 8 attempts in 6 years to change the meaning of natural-born citizen through resolution in Congress. None of them ever succeeded. But it is troublesome to me that that has, been omitted.
Okay. All right. So you are aware of it. All right. Here's another one. I have a great question, they said. The Cold Case Posse has raised a lot of concern over Governor Abercrombie of Hawaii and his failure to locate Obama's birth certificate after an investigation. It says, I am sure the Cold Case Posse will agree that Abercrombie, Alvin Onaka, Hawaii Department of Health Directors Fukino and Fuddy will not cooperate with the Cold Case Posse. My question, has the Cold Case Posse thought about tracking down Dr. Neil Palafox? Dr. Palafox was appointed Hawaii Department of Health Director by Governor Abercrombie. Dr. Palafox served a very short time before he resigned, apparently due to some medical scandal. Many believe that Dr. Palafox might have resigned because of the birth certificate issue. The Cold Case Posse should track down Dr. Palafox and find out what he knows. What do you know about all that, Mike?
Well, I do know about that, and that's a pretty good rendition of what took place. We are well aware of him. You also have to realize that a resignation under a scandal doesn't make you very conducive to speaking to law enforcement, especially on an issue that reaches this high up and the political ramifications it could have. But it's something that we are aware of, and I won't disclose whether we've spoken to him or not.
Yeah, or what you know or don't know, okay?
Yeah.
And Mike, when you say things like that, the reason is, and you've made this clear before, is because there's so much that you have done and that you have investigated and that you do know, but that the information that you've gleaned has to be reserved for a potential criminal prosecution, and you can't just get out here and throw all the evidence and everything that you know. You just can't throw it out to the public right yet, right?
I can. I have to be extremely cautious, and it's difficult because there is a lot I know that pertain to some of the questions that are asked of me, and I have to avoid them, and I hope people understand.
Right, right. Well, I think the folks that are sincere about this do understand, and of course, a lot of folks that are sincere that didn't understand are learning. They're learning from you, and I so appreciate you taking this time. We've got a couple more questions here, but they're learning from you how all this works. A lot of American citizens just don't understand. I mean, you've been in law enforcement most of your life. I've got a law enforcement background of some 10 years and a lot of connections to law enforcement ever since. So you and I understand this. It's almost second nature to us, but a lot of the people who are supporters of what you're doing, they're just now learning this stuff. And so that's why we've got the question box up there. That's why people are submitting, and that's why you're answering them. So thank you. Let me continue on. There's another one here. Mr. Zullo, given the fact that two different heads of the Hawaii Department of Health have verified the existence of the original birth certificate, and that it has also been verified that the information on the PDF version of the long-form birth certificate is the same as what appears on the original document, can you please tell me exactly what information on the PDF version of the long-form birth certificate is different than what is on the original document?
The short answer to that is no one has seen the original document.
Right.
No one knows how the original document came to fruition.
Right.
The person asking this question, to be honest with you, deep down knows the answer. They're just not telling you. It does no good to confirm information when the question at hand is confirm the document existence as being authentic.
Right.
It's never been confirmed because it can't be confirmed.
Right. And all of the anomalies on the PDF version are clearly outlined in your 207-point affidavit to the Alabama Supreme Court, correct?
Correct.
Yeah, okay. All right, so there's the answer to that question. I think this is the final one for today, and I know we'll be doing this more in the future. Mr. Zullo, in your affidavit, and of course they're referring to the 207-point affidavit supplied to the Alabama Supreme Court, says, in your affidavit you claim that Hawaii statutes allow for Hawaii to give a birth certificate to a foreign-born child, and that the statute does not require that it indicate it was a foreign birth. While this is true, isn't it also true that all birth certificates issued in Hawaii require the place of birth to be on them? Given that true statement, isn't it true that all of Hawaiian birth certificates issued to foreign-born children would indicate that they were not born in Hawaii?
The answer to that question goes right along with the same genre as the one before it. There is answer to that, and I know that this individual knows it. I am suspect of the individual putting that question forward. The fact of the matter is Hawaii has a multitude of statutes that could allow for the foreign-born individual to be born outside of the United States, yet be represented as being born in the state of Hawaii, giving a false location of birth. The fact that they're saying it holds a place for an individual's stated birth, there is nothing compelling the state registrar or the Department of Health in Hawaii to list the place of birth, especially an outside birth. There is nothing in the statute compelling them to do that. So while it sounds good in a kind of logical sense, you have to understand the way all the statutes in Hawaii work and the different ways to manipulate those statutes to get the desired result you want. It's a very intricate analysis, and it's not something that I am going to go into detail on any radio show about. Right. It's just too intricate. But the answer to that is no, it doesn't necessarily mean that they have to put it down.
Right. And so you are convinced, the Cold Case Posse is convinced that this particular birth certificate more than likely was manipulated.
Oh, absolutely, without a doubt.
Yeah, okay. Well, I was kind of throwing you a softball. Okay, all right. Well, listen, we've gone 15 minutes already, and that's about all anybody's going to listen to a quick broadcast. But you've covered 8 or 9 good questions. As I said, they will your answers will take care of scores of questions that were asked. But there are more questions, and there are good questions, and you're not avoiding any. It's just that we're going to do multiple broadcasts. So, folks, keep your questions coming in, and Lieutenant Detective Lead Investigator Commander Mike Zullo has promised that he will answer any and every legitimate question to the best of his ability without giving away any evidence in the upcoming potential. We're very, very hopeful for a potential criminal prosecution in this case. Mike Zullo, thank you for your time. God bless you. I know we impose upon you a lot, but what you're doing is magnificent work and monumental, and I believe historical. And we say to you, may God bless you.
Thank you, Carl, and your listeners can call me Mike. It's fine.
Okay, fantastic. Our prayers are with you. Thank you so much. And folks, you've been listening to PP Simmons Radio. We hope that you'll continue to tune in. And right here on PP Simmons Radio, we'll keep you updated with exclusive reports on the Obama fraud investigation from Sheriff Arpaio, Maricopa County, Cold Case Posse. Mike Zullo will be reporting. Carl Gallups, God bless you. Thanks for listening. Do you ever wish that you could more powerfully, succinctly, and accurately speak to the message of your Christian faith and the Word of God? This is the book you need, The Magic Man in the Sky, Effectively Defending the Christian Faith. This book has been featured on TBN, Atlanta Live, dozens of radio programs, and hundreds of markets. It was rave reviewed by the Washington Times, and it was called a must-read book. Considering the times in which we now live, you need this book. Get it today on Amazon.com or the WND Superstore.